Welcome to the Therapeutic Food Solutions podcast. I'm your host, Mary Mitchell. I'm an integrative nutrition health coach, therapeutic diet expert, and founder of The Road to Living Whole. There are many different diets out there. It's hard to know which one is right for you with your chronic illness and autoimmune disease. In this podcast, I'm going to share with you the foundational pieces every single therapeutic diet out there shares, and also how to use the best one for your particular diagnosis. If you've been looking for a meal planning partner, help navigating the complicated healthcare system, and want to feel better quickly, I'm your girl. Grab your kombucha and notebook. Let's dive in. Welcome back, everybody. I have an expert today. Her name is Inesa. She's incredibly amazing, extremely well-educated in the topic that we're going to talk about today, which is why hemp is essential and dangerous at the same time. And I'm just so excited to hear her story and learn more about hemp and CBD and the differences. You know, it's kind of the Wild West right now when it comes to CBD. In some states, it's legal. Sometimes it's like fully legal. In some states, it's only medicinal. In some states, it's not even legal yet. It's not legal federally in the United States. And so there's just a lot of misinformation and misunderstanding. And I'm hoping to give you guys some clarity and hopefully some guidance to the topic today. And that's why Inesa is here. So Inesa, please introduce yourself and share your story with us.
Yes, thank you so much for having me here today. And I think it's a very important topic for the audience to learn and understand, because we can kill ourselves or save ourselves with the same plant. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it really is.
So I think that's exactly what we're going to do. We'll discuss today. And if there's any people that are CBD users and listening to this podcast, they will have a lot of aha moments and might be some shocking information. Since I'm only one person in the entire country pushing this topic very heavily, because it doesn't benefit anybody except the pharmaceuticals. To know the truth, it's not helping anybody. So, but that being said, I didn't came from like silver spoon kind of type of background. I came from lots of struggles. I've been a victim of pharmaceuticals since I was in very early age, 12, 13, 14. Started antibiotics. It led me to, by age 25, led me to very critical conditions, UTIs, kidney infections, lung infections, couldn't breathe, couldn't laugh, couldn't do anything. I was pretty miserable. I was walking dead, I would say, 25-year-old. And I just really had to step back and take a look at my life. And I'm like, what I'm doing? Because, I heard the saying, if you do the same thing and expect different results, like it's just not going to happen. And somebody said that, I really need to take a look what I'm doing. So I realized that when I was young, of course, I trusted my mom. So she didn't know any better. She was following the system like most of us. And she took me to the doctors. That's all what she knew back home in Lithuania. And then I said, okay, I started with the doctors in very young age. So by age 25, I should be beyond healthy, because these doctors are supposed to help you. So, but actually got opposite. It got to the point where I was beyond miserable. And I'm like, okay, all what I did my entire life, I just trusted the doctors. I took the pill, more pills I took, more pills I needed. So got to the point where like beyond disappointed. And I'm like, I need to change the path. I need to change the people that is helping me to something else. And that time I didn't know what is going to be something else. So as somebody who's always questioning things, why, I start asking people around like, what do you do? Is there anything else? And people suggested somebody maybe to drink more water. Somebody suggests me to change my diet. Somebody suggests me, just the little things here and here. I picked those little pieces. And what a shocking surprise, but it led me to complete transformation within 1 year. Yes, by end of the year, I was already fully juicing and working out and watching my waters, and everything was really changed in my lifestyle, completely cutting off the alcohol in my life, make sure not even a sip comes to my body. So that led me to great transformation, but it wasn't it wasn't where I want to change the world. I was grateful. I thanked God for the tools he gave me and the people and things like that. And of course, I learned my own on this journey, but it wasn't enough. It planted the seed in my brain, planted the seed in my heart that the nature, God, universe does produce results and gives us all these tools, but it wasn't enough. I'm going to fight for the world kind of type of thing. So
Right.
what happened about 5 years later, I was almost done fighting. I actually was done fighting a lot of challenges in my life. I was going through abusive relationship. I was targeted by human traffickers. I overcame all the pharmaceutical conspiracy with my own results. And, I was really going through a lot of challenging times, including I even had to face homelessness. So all these challenging times really empowered me because I had to choose if I want to become a victim of my own situation or I want to become strong and one day come and fix situations like that. So I promised myself and God that one day I'll be strong. How and when, I had no idea, but I just knew that I'm going to do it. It was it was a strong moment in my life where I just wanted to live perfect, just the way, a 10 commandments teach you how to follow your life. So
Mhm.
that led me to, yes, through the strong commitment to through integrity, led me to a life that I was like finally reaching the goal, which is like American dream. And this American dream looked like probably for most Americans, but not me. It was like having a nice car, having a nice apartment. I was helping my sister to get education and paying for in the United States, bringing my family here, putting savings away, building another business on the side while you're working full-time job. Like it's just like a lot going on, but everything is like good on piece of paper. And I'm like, this is not my life. I'm not accepting this. Like, this is not what I want to do. Is this is it? Like, after, all these years of fighting, that's all what I got. Like, this is no purpose. Like, I'm not happy with this. And I went to talk to my boss, never going to forget, because I said, Samir, do you think something is wrong with me? He's like, what do you mean? Like, what can be wrong with you? I said, I feel like I don't live my purpose. I'm missing something. It's like, how you can be missing something? Like, you truly have the best position in the company. You did the best in sales, and things like that. It's like, no, I don't. He just couldn't understand what I'm talking about. And it's like, what are you talking about? You have everything. What's wrong with you? And I'm like, you don't understand. So I really went on my knees and I started asking God, what is my purpose in life? And I really got the phone call a year later after literally almost every single day on my knees asking what I'm doing on this planet, what's my purpose. I really want to understand what I'm doing. So a year later, I get the phone call from my mom, and she was diagnosed with cancer. And she was crying on the other line and telling me, I please come back home in Lithuania because I got cancer and I'm gonna die in 6 months. I need to start chemo radiation as soon as possible. And as she's speaking, I truly had tears of joy. And she's like telling me how much she's dying, and I'm telling her seconds later how this is the best news on the planet. And I'm like, and she's like, knows I'm not on a drug. She knows I'm not taking alcohol. She knows I'm not doing anything weird with my brain. So she's like, must be talking, sleeping, walking kind of type of situation because I know she knew it's early morning in the United States. So she FaceTimed me and she's like, Inesa, I'm dying. It's like, no, you're not. I said, I was asking God, what's my purpose in life? And now I know what is my purpose. I always knew cancer is curable because I learned through my own journey. There's a lot of, politics involved in cancer. And I just didn't have enough purpose to go deep down the rabbit hole. And and I said, I always knew cancer is curable. I just never knew how. And because it happened to you, I said, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to know every single thing about cancer. And I said, you're gonna be 100% safe, and the world is gonna be experiencing the same results because of you. And she's like, you're not a cancer doctor. I said, thank God. because I know where doctors led me in my life. And I'm like, thank God I'm not. She's like, you're not in college. It's like, Mom, I said, just please turn the music on, go celebrate right now. I said, your life is about to change. My life has changed. The world's life is about to change. I said, you don't understand how this whole thing is beautiful. So she's like, no, I don't, because I'm dying. So she was still sad, but she was like, she was like, what? She was like really in a shock mode, because when you're telling someone you're dying, you really expect this person to cry with you. And I'm like, I was completely opposite. I literally told her to turn the music on and go dance. So she knew, like, long story short is I just left the country the same day. I spent 27,000 hours on the cancer research, I think more than any oncology school if you go times 10. And I had to learn politics, science, biology, technology, nano, I mean, you name it, history, and I mean, Bible included. I mean, it's just crazy. If you really want to know one topic, you have to go these different directions, but that's all what it is. So after spending all these hours, yes, I was able to help my mom. And of course, I helped many, many other people. Today, we're actually creating documentary and all my success stories that we developed over many years now. Yes, my mom is alive, and my all other people I worked with are also alive, celebrating their lives just the way I visualized in that moment when my mom was telling me she was actually dying. So I'm very happy we never took chemo and no radiation, because she got saved. So, but that's how I really entered a holistic field. Like, first it was like what happened to me, my own health situation, and that led me to planted the seed and led me to this kind of final purpose in life, which is where I am today. And with that journey, what I learned that whatever your label says, that doesn't mean that's exactly what it is, because I had to really learn about the waters. What is the good water? I had an argument yesterday with someone who says, you should be drinking alkaline water. And I said, I can give you 1,000 reasons why not. So with that being said, like, there's a lot of misinformation out there, because all what people care is just promote to make money, and that makes me sick. It really, really does, because I just don't believe in that. And you can benefit of someone not knowing and taking advantage of them and take their monies because they are in fear of dying or something else. So with that being said, that led me to not to trust labels. And what I discovered, this is the moment where I really want everyone to listen. I discovered that one of the most essential systems in our body, it's called endocannabinoid system. And
nobody knows about it.
nobody not supposed to know, because my PR director told me that NBC doesn't want to talk to me because I want to talk about endocannabinoid system. All the mainstream media doesn't want to talk to me because I said, I'm not talking about cannabinoids like CBD, which is also a drug, and we'll talk about this in a minute. But I'm talking about endocannabinoid system, the essential organ in your body, it's essential system in your body that should be all over the news, and it's almost federally illegal for you to speak about this. That's why we on this podcast are going to educate people right now. Otherwise, if it wasn't for you putting this whole show today together, these people not going to know the truth, because they're not allowed to know the truth. It's physically illegal. And this is what I'm going to dig into right now. So
Yeah, but just to interrupt really quick, my ex is a flight paramedic and he's an EMT. And I brought up the endocannabinoid system and he was like, that's not a thing. And I was like, oh, it's absolutely a thing. And I brought it up and he looks at it. He's like, I've never heard of this in my entire like education or life. Like, I had no idea that was a thing. And it is like, it's not hidden, but you're just not, it's not something that medicine recognizes because medicine can't fix it or help it. So there's no money in educating people about it, which is just frustrating and mind-blowing. So I'm really excited we're going to talk about that and dive deeper into this topic.
There's no money in curing disease. There's no money in curing disease because they like you to come back every month. Like, look, they lost me as a lifetime customer because I became healthy. I don't need single pill from these people. I cut off my insurances and everything. Why? I know what I'm doing with my life. I don't need anyone's help out there. I treat my own temple. So with that being said, like, you're absolutely right. So this is where the whole thing started for me personally. I was looking for the highest quality product on the market so I can physically trust, give it to the people that are fighting for their life at the moment. And I was just, looking for the healthy quality products so I can represent them and put my name behind a product. And what funny part is when I start making a phone calls and connecting with these CEOs or the managers or product developers, so I really started having those deep conversations. And the funny is, deeper I get, more questions I have. Like, for example, after today's podcast, everyone will have a full answers, everything about everything in this industry. And for me, because I'm going to give it to you just exactly the way it is, the facts, I'm not going to share anything that's not a fact or evidence based. But the way I was digging in, everybody had certain opinion or their certain approach, and they couldn't back up by certain facts. And I'm like, why? What's going on? And what I did, I got so confused because if you have more questions, you should have an answer. And after an answer, you should have a clarification of whatever the situation you have in front of you. And I was completely opposite for me. So with that being said, more questions I had, more questions, I just kept having it. So I said, this is not enough. This is what I need to do. So I did a white lie. I told them I'm from Lithuania, and they assumed I live in Lithuania. And I said, what if I one day will visit you guys and take a look at your facilities? And that's exactly what I did. I created a list of 17 top number one quality companies in America, and I visited all of them one by one with my own sample lab testings, with my own drones for the farming practices, from my everything. I was like fully prepared to fight the war and just to understand what's going on, just investigate the industry. And I really discovered a lots of sadness. And the sadness is when you come to this is one of part of sadness, when you come to one of the largest organic producers that are certified, that magic logo that everyone is looking for, organic, certified as organic, and their products contain loads of metals and lead and in the parts per billion. It's like dangerous amounts of lead and you name it. And I said, what's that? And they say, oh, it doesn't matter because we're still compliant in parts per billion and we're still organic certified. Customer's not going to check for this. Who cares? I'm like, customer's not going to check for this? It's your responsibility. Put something on the market. What customer never supposed to check for anything because we know it's clean and it's been proven to be clean. So with hemp, what thing people need to understand is in order to grow hemp for medicinal purposes, you have to be extremely careful because by nature, hemp is actually a soil cleaner. So it's like a sponge. It grabs every possible toxin in the parts per trillion, actually, from the air, from the soil, from far away, and it grabs it all and holds inside in the plant. And if you actually grow this plant for medicinal purposes, you can treat this hemp plant just like a regular plant. It's completely different ball game just to grow and plant. If you're doing for like creating a home or clothing line, maybe it's a little bit different story, but for medicinal purposes, we're talking about completely different farming practices. And sadly, not single one company in America is willing to do those right practices. So there's no regulations. And there are also laboratories that don't report correct data on these products.
Mm-hmm.
Some of laboratories, you would be surprised. You call them and say, hey, I just shipped you, I never done this, but I tested them and I was faking it. I said, I'm shipping your product. I said, how are we going to play the lab results? Just tell us what you want those to look like. Tell us what the numbers you want to see. I said, don't you think you should be testing first? Yes, we will, but like you let us know what profile you want to look like. Do you want to have metals in or out? Do you want the high CBD, low CBD? And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, when I learned that part, it's like, no, I can't trust any laboratory. So I started calling every possible lab in America and trying to trick them, say, hey, can you guys make some stuff up if I have some positive for mold or something? And they said, yeah, no problem. It's just gonna cost a couple of $100, and we can do it. Can you imagine? Now consumers are busy working, making money, paying all their money for government taxes, right? And now they get sick because of stressful life. They're all plugged in, and because of the system we have, now they get sick, and now they come to purchase the product that they don't have time to investigate, because I spent tens of thousands of dollars to get the stuff done, to know the truth. And now they purchase the product supposed to help them, and regulations are not there, and laboratories are also faking the lab results, if you know how to read those. So this is how bad the whole industry is. And when I discovered this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I also discovered there is no CBD in the hemp plant. There's none. Zero. People say, wait a minute. I thought CBD is coming from the hemp plant. No, it's not. The CBD is a second version that is fully patented as of today by Food and Drug Administration. CBD is a drug. CBD is nothing but a drug. And as you know, you can't patent nature. So if nature is patented, first of all, you can't. But if something is patented, it must be not natural. What entire country is selling today? CBD. And a smart Google tells you, if you go, say, what is the CBD? Smart Google tells you it's a drug for epilepsy patented as Epidiolex by Food and Drug Administration. Isn't that amazing? So this is what happens. In the nature, they have chemistry of the raw plant. Hopefully it's healthy, no toxins in it, right? Because there's two minuses there. One is like loaded with toxin, and second is the drug. So it's a lot. All the people in America right now taking drugs loaded with toxins, and that's why CBD is dangerous. But in the mother nature, in original God's law, we have a hemp plant that's not supposed to be full of toxins. Number one. And number two is, when you study the chemistry in the hemp plant, there is no CBD, there's a CBDA. There's a THCA. It doesn't make you high, by the way. There's a CBGA. Those are acidic cannabinoids, are way more powerful and stronger than any CBD on the market. But those are cannabinoids also cannot be patented and owned by anyone except us people. Now, what happens is, wait a minute, these people thought we should control the market. We don't want people to have the CBDA in the grocery stores. Then all of the country is going to go off the medications. That's not a good business plan, because we're going to lose our economy, because America makes money of people being sick. So this country is thriving only because you guys are sick. That's it. That's all what it is. If you look how much money we make from pharmaceuticals, it's insanity, more than all the countries together combined in the world. This is why America is thriving, for you being miserable. So with that being said, what happens is, now they take the CBDA raw version, they use chemical extractions that are harsh for plant and the human, and they also use temperatures, and they kill this beautiful plant. They turn into the second Frankenstein version, which is CBD, and they patent it as a drug, which is a drug as of today, unless they will change it. I don't think so. It's been like this forever now. And now they control the market. And the real version has never been touched. So you see, you're taking this completely different thing, when people are so misguided, and people say, Inesa, how about THC? I said, do you guys know there was never THC in the history? We never, ever, ever, ever had high levels of THC. I said, do you guys know that all the genetics on the market are 100% re-engineered? All the genetics, not single one of them are coming natural. People say, oh, you want this herbal medicine? Perfect. Give someone, these 16-year-olds are smoking THC. I said, that's insanity, because nature never, ever produced such a high levels of THCA. that later on by chemicals extractions and you know and the temperatures it turns into THC. But the THC levels are 100% genetically modified and engineered in the labs. That's why they keep increasing it. In like 30-40 years ago we had like 10% of THC. Now we're talking about 50%. You take THC, your brain is cooked. You can't make decision on your life. You should go with underwear today or pants or the skirt or what you should do. Like you can't make decisions. This is a study being done in Mayo Clinic. Then you're loading your brain with high levels of THC. You can't make decisions. The mechanism is off. So, and now do you see how they're saying, you guys want the natural herbs and remedy, take it, it's all yours. No, we want the one that we had hundreds of years ago, not the one you guys re-engineered in the labs and also turned into the drug that you fully patented and now you're gonna about to control the market and put this whole thing under prescription. How about CBDA? Yeah. How about giving this and putting in the grocery stores and putting in people's balconies and allowing people to grow and empower their endocannabinoid system? Oh, who is it? What endocannabinoid system? Oh, let's talk about endocannabinoid system. Do you guys know that if you empower your own endocannabinoid system, that half of the country would be off the pills in the next 90 days? What is the system? I don't even know I have such thing, Inesa. Of course you don't, because as you said, your ex was clearly, I guess that's why he's ex. If I had ex like that, it would be X2 times 10. It would be big time X. Yeah. If the person is not open-minded to heal people and save humanity, I don't care who you are. You can be a president, you're nobody to me. If you don't choose other people's lives, and because you're ignorant and because you're closed-minded, because they teach you something and you're not opening yourself, you're times X, 10,000 times X. Mm-hmm. It's just how it is. So what happens is the most beautiful thing is all of us are born with this beautiful endocannabinoid system that most people don't even know they have it. And that system is really responsible for regulating your body. But in what it really does, it regulates your central nervous system in the seconds, like literally in the seconds. I can have someone in front of me with major epilepsy or seizures or depression, where a person went after a car accident or something crazy situation that mentally really affects you. And I give them full dropper of my product and life becomes good within a few minutes. So what happens is that endocannabinoid system is responsible to regulate your brain, your heart, your actually central nervous system, helps with your inflammation, your bowels. It helps actually exchange bacteria, microbiome in your gut. That's the newest research just came out recently. It helps exchange microbiome. And that's, by the way, not a CBD, it's a CBDA. It's a CBDA because the CBDA is finally coming more and more on the market.
I want to ask a question about, you talk about the CBDA, the THCA. So if it's in the natural product and we know how they extract it and chemically change it, right? Can you, or do we have time for you to kind of explain the process of how to keep the integrity of the natural product? Like, not like maybe in depth, but just like, what's the difference? Like, I understand that one's natural and one's chemically made, but I think a lot of people are going to ask this, like, how do I get this natural product that benefits me in so many ways and avoid, and since this is not an option, the stuff that's on the market and from all these medicinaries and, things that you can buy online and all this stuff, how do I get something that's actually going to help me? Like, I know your product does, but how is it extracted? Is it like cold extracted? Is it a tincture? Is it, what does that look like?
The best way and only one way for anyone to consume any hemp product is to take the full, basically, chemistry from the plant, because it helps to work, everything works together then, instead of taking one compound. So in order to do that, I'm not gonna lie, it's extremely painful process. And that's why I just moved manufacturer facility in Illinois right now from Oregon so I can be completely hands-on because we're really scaling the company like no tomorrow after people discovering what's going on and the how CBDs cause them side effects and anxiety and issues, health conditions, you name
Right.
CBD, like of course.
Yeah.
So and we really popping up, especially after COVID news when CBD in our company was number one to show results to prevent you getting COVID, which is,
Mm-hmm.
shuts your spike protein entrance in the body. Um, that's where we really got highlighted. And what I'm trying to say here is process is very complicated and is expensive. I'm not gonna lie. I sat down with 3 engineers to figure out how I can keep the plant completely raw version without, because if you put certain heat, you're gonna kill it. If you're gonna put like a cold press and grind, you're gonna kill it. And a lot of times cold presses also, when you grind, the metals that grind the product wears
Mm-hmm.
off in the product, which is I have a problem with that too. So I couldn't do the cold press. So we re-engineered and we created this beautiful technology. I've worked with some smart brains. It's not the credit for me. It's the credit for other people, but I just had to find them and work with them to figure it out. In fact, I'm putting another request right now. So we actually going to be putting technology very soon as we had literally 1,000 years ago. Like there's no difference from the one we had 1,000 years ago and today that I'm working on
Okay.
it. So it's not easy. As I said, like if you produce the products, it takes us probably 3 to 4 weeks to produce one batch, just to make it perfect. And
Okay.
plus growing process is very important because if you grow in real biological soil the way we do, our cows is actually 19 generations, no vaccine. So they give us nice waste because microbiome is so nice and clean. It's penetrates into the soil and microbes are all over the place. Actually, our hemp, it's truly living after we harvest. We have to grab like little children running all over the place and put them in one spot and tell them to stay because they just want to be all over. They're crawling all over facility. It's insanity. And if you extract also the plant and before you extract, you can hold in your hands and the plants are literally moving in your hands. I really need to create a video. It's so cool. So this is only because of those microbes, because these microbes allowed the plant to really express themselves in the highest frequency. And that frequency, when we actually harvested, we never lost the frequency because we never used technology to harvest. We used like completely handcrafting. So we picked the right people that are truly care about the world to touch the plants. So we handcraft and we were able to keep that frequency within the plant all the way through all the processes to the finished bottle. So when somebody takes Nestle's hemp, they truly have a heartbeat in the bottle. That's why our bottles contain the strongest, most safest glass on the planet. There's nothing safer than the one we have because we're protecting the heartbeat inside the bottle. So when somebody will take it, that person will be the first person ever interact with the plant, and plant is going to lose the virginity in your mouth. So most producers on the market, they lose virginity before they even harvest it. So the plant is barely alive and there's no nutrients in the plant. There's no frequencies. There's no healing frequencies. There's no not expressing cannabinoid portfolios because they're dying in the soil. So the
Mm-hmm.
chemtrails itself is a major damage. I'm not talking about anything else. Just the chemtrails itself is a major damage. So,
Yeah.
so I'm not gonna. I just say if somebody wants to grow, I would say grow the healthy genetics, grow at home. Probably it's easier and just put in your smoothies. But if you can't do that and put in your smoothies, and if you can't grow at home, that the best way is to purchase NASA's. And the good news, we're working to lower the price. I'm super excited for that. So
Yay.
yeah, I know. I want to make sure
That is
we can give
exciting.
it to everybody.
Yeah. Because I was thinking like I know that long-term use of CBD and THC, like the heat extracted, does end up causing more anxiety and more depression. And like those are the two big ones that I see often with longtime users. They think, oh, it relaxes me, it's doing this, but over time it actually does the exact opposite. It makes everything worse and more intense. And really it's pretty addictive. because you think that the more you take, the more you need. And it's like this vicious cycle because it causes all these other symptoms that you're trying to avoid in the first place.
They do have actually additives that actually keep people be addicted. So they add certain chemicals in it for people to be addicted to
Of
these
course.
products. And with that being said, that's the problem one. Another problem is most CBD products, about 90% of the products on the market are sold loaded with mold, aspergillosis, and also with metals. So metals
Mm-hmm.
gonna cause you major anxiety. Okay, so people say, Vanessa, but my CBD is helping me when I take it. Yeah, take Valium is gonna help you too. But like why people can, I just don't understand. Like it's just so hard for people to understand that this is not just it's helping. What price you're paying afterwards when that your CBD is supposed to help. So
Right.
as I said, like if your product is not tested by ACS laboratories, that only one lab in America gives a clean lab reports, no matter how much money you pay them. You can give this lab $1 billion and say, please, I do some adjustment on my labs, and they will say, screw you. It's not gonna happen. It's absolutely we don't want you to sell these dangerous products, and we're not gonna be part of your dark agenda to kill people. So the only one lab that's in fake lab results is the ACS laboratories from Florida. If you don't see your lab reports coming from them, then most likely you have some wishy-washy business
Doctor.
going on. Yeah. And the second
Yeah.
thing is you want to make sure your products are tested parts per billion. That means your bottle on the bottom should have like a very specific number attached to that bottle, and it should show pages and pages of testing from every possible microtoxin, mold, bacteria, moisture levels, and everything else. So the tests we do, we're only one company in the entire country doing that testing with ACS laboratories. And I really genuinely often offered actually for, and often I offer companies when I go on expos or speak in events or panels. I was in actually a Vegas speaking with probably 3,000 CBD brands. And I told them, I said, I'll give you guys $10,000 today if you can go and test your product exact same way the way we test Nessa's hemp, and just bring exact those lab results by this only one laboratory that doesn't fake lab results. I'll give you $10,000 for free. All good, and I'll pay for your testing because that testing costs like $1,200. So, and guess what? That single one company was willing to take free $10,000 because they know that products are loaded. And I was literally in Vegas speaking. I had even two panels, not even one. I had two panels. I had morning panel, I had afternoon panel. That single, like some of those booths are kicked me out. So you go with your justice and the truth. And I'm like, oh, well, that's exactly where I'm going to go, bring the justice and the truth to the people that are miserable, you know?
Yeah. I absolutely love your heart and your passion. It just makes me think about like, as you were describing this, I was thinking about how like, when people are sick, they're always looking for things, right? So we learn about individual nutrients or individual chemicals, and we want more of that. We get the isolated version. And then after a while, you're taking all these isolated versions and you're like, wait, why can't I just get it from the source?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's what you have been able to bring is like the source, like as natural as possible, as close to the earth as you possibly can get in a healthy environment that it's grown and all of that, right? Like that's what we want for our food too. We want it in the most healthy, natural environment possible. And that's when that's when synergetically everything works together, right? And we don't see the side effects that like now that, marijuana, CBD, THC, whatever has been legal. And now we're starting to see the consequences of, this highly concentrated, adjusted product. And it's actually causing more problems than it's helping. Right. And so I love that you have this passion to educate, but also to bring a solution. I think that that's just so, so important. I just want you to keep talking because I feel like there's just so much more to learn. But I was just kind of thinking, like, comparing it to like in the chronic disease world, especially, we're all looking for answers. And there's kind of this progression, right? Where we start with like isolated nutrients and then we move to the source and then we start thinking about quality and all of that. And, we're looking for things that we don't even know. It is the Wild West out there. And I know that I had no idea that there was so much corruption. I'm not surprised, but I had no idea how extensive it was. And I love that you give the solution of the ACS labs, right? And that we
You
can
should.
look for products that have been tested by them. And I'm sure that we can find a list of that somewhere if we Google hard enough or call the company or whatever. I just think it's just so important that we know really what's out there. And it's so unfortunate that something that's supposed to be so medicinal has been converted into something that's just not. And it's just beyond frustrating.
Yeah, I definitely have a lot of things to say. One thing I would like to say is that this is no longer medicinal topic, actually. Be
Mm-hmm.
missing that point. What we missing here, and I start mentioning, but we didn't finish, that all us are born with endocannabinoid system. That system is responsible to regulate your body, make sure you are never ever sick. You're doing amazing. So with that being said, you produce your own cannabinoids, exact same ones we have in Inesa's hemp products, exact same, no difference at all. Okay. So you produce exact same particle in your body, the exact same compound in your body that regulates your system. But the problem is you're exposed to this very loving environment full of toxins, full of stress, oxidated stress, and you name it. And what happened then, you actually start losing your own cannabinoid production within that system and you become deficient. All
Mm-hmm.
what we need to do, empower that endocannabinoid system with healthy, clean cannabinoids. So we put in the body what body is made from, so we can run the car again. And it's just almost putting the oil in the car, like, and you can run the car again. That's exactly what it is. So all these symptoms people popping up with gut issues or brain issues, they're gonna put you on pharmaceutical drugs. As you said, your ex as a doctor, he couldn't even figure out what is endocannabinoid system. He's not gonna put you on endocannabinoids or cannabinoids. He's gonna say, go get antidepressants or some bowel disorders, whatever pills, whatever we can come up with. Long story short is, you are deficient. Not question if, you are deficient. I can guarantee you, each of you who is listening right now, because I heard there's a new studies coming out for 9-year-olds being deficient on their cannabinoids. 9-year-olds. And now if somebody's listening, 18 years old or 20 years, you are deficient. If you're deficient of something you made from, that means that stuff is essential to you. But wait, no, it's not essential. It's in fact federally illegal. It's federal. And by the way, this lady, crazy Inesa, who cares about people, she can't even educate you legally on the mainstream media to educate you on your own essential system that God gave you. It's almost telling me, Inesa, you can't educate others on their liver or on their, spleen. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Give me, if this is essential, we can't live without. This is part of our bodies. So you see, and I can tell you exactly what they did. I'm really good in after investigating. I saw this whole thing upside down, inside out. I mean, you name it. 1,000 times. I literally worked with the people who discovered the endocannabinoid system. I worked with these people from Israel. I mean, I had a full conversations when the doors are shut. I know exactly what's going on. But what happened is, you see, they always smart. They introduced the idea of holistic medicine, plant medicine, right? They
Mm-hmm.
changed the nature, which is they genetically modified. They patented the compound and they allowed everyone to make money on this compound. Now these companies market it. There is almost like a free marketers, right? They're gonna make
Right.
money, but they created all these free marketers, all these business owners. So they marketed their drug, which is actually this year for the first time, Food and Drug Administration, pharmaceutical companies start calling out CBD companies and saying, stop selling our drug. Stop selling our compound. You see how they did? They allow everyone for 5-7 years to market the products full of toxins and everything. People right now unhappy. People saying, oh my gosh, what I've been buying, this causes me anxiety. This is causes me heart issues. My heart is going crazy when I take my CBD. I listened to all kinds of crazy stories. And then people are going to be not trusting the plant again. And they're going to say, yes, pharmaceutical. Yes, Mr. God, please regulate this industry and give us prescription for the right, correct drug for CBD, because all of the ones we purchase in the gas station caused us all kinds of heart attacks. And now pharmaceuticals pulling back. I heard this year they started with 10, 20 companies, and they're practicing to see how this whole thing is going to go. They're going to have a nice pattern in law firm set up and nice cases with the government and laws and attorneys and everything. They're kind of practicing for the massive scale. And that's exactly what they're going to do. Mark my words. They're going to wipe off everybody out there. That's why they don't want you to know about CBDA, because it cannot be ever patented, it cannot be ever controlled, cannot be ever owned by anyone except you, your body, your system. And that's exactly what God gave you.
Yeah. You see that pattern over and over and over again. This isn't a new thing that the pharmaceutical industry has done. They tried taking NAD plus off of the market, which is a natural product. And what else there's been a few of them that they've taken off the market. I'm just like totally spacing right now. But, things that come from the earth that are incredibly beneficial, incredibly cheap. And they want to take it and make it cost like $1,200 a month and things like that, when it was like $10 for 90 days. Right. And it's beyond frustrating. And I think that knowing that this is coming, I think a lot of people are going to be really shocked in a year or so, when things are really, when they have the momentum, they have the precedent set on these smaller cases, and then they can start really hitting people with it. It's going to be, and then it's going to change. And now, instead of all these medicinary dispensaries and all that stuff, now it's going to be, you're growing them for the pharmaceutical industry, just like, the big ag has all these small farmers raising animals for them, in less than ideal conditions, because that's the only way they make money. It's going to be the same thing for these farms. And it's going to be a really ugly cycle. And if we can be educated now, it's going to make it a lot more difficult for them down the road.
Yeah, I think education really starts, as I said, like if somebody's purchasing the product, require your seller, whatever the seller is, like, okay, I want to see a batch number attached to my bottle. That means it's exact same numbers, not someone else from 3,000 years ago. It's the specific one you're holding in your hand. It needs to have very authentic number, and that number needs to be matching ACS laboratory results. Like, say, I want ACS labs only. You guys have a demand. Anybody who's listening right now, you are the reason why this whole thing is happening, because they want your money. So if you act smarter on the street and they can manipulate you because you know better, now they will need to come up with better tricks on you. So that's why we're talking. I know you have an amazing podcast, and my team was telling me all about it. And I truly have limited time. I work with some critical cases, and some of those are very and famous families, and you name it, like, are currently right now on my list. I work almost 24/7. The reason I'm volunteering my time is just because that I try to change the nature of the business. I try to go and talk to legislators. I try to talk to attorneys. I try to talk to people from the White House. I try to talk. Not single one of them is willing to talk. I try to talk to the major media. So I realized this is not going to happen. The only one way I can make this happen, to revolutionize this whole thing for better, if I'll educate people. That means I have to volunteer 1-2 hours a day to educate people that I really don't have, but that's the path I chose, to educate 10, 100,000, 20,000 people at a time. So these people hopefully gonna educate others. And now all of us are sitting smart. You can drop a bomb in front of us. We'll say, ha, ha, ha. We know exactly what you guys doing.
Right.
That's the only one way to go, because I tried every other angle. It didn't go too well. I just spent a lot of money, a lot of frustration, a lot of tears, and a lot of cry, and lots of nights no sleep. So, and that's only one way, is educate you, and you guys educate someone else.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. And again, just your passion for being able to really reveal, pull back the curtain on the industry and let people know what they don't know. I recently, I mean, I know that the stories on the mold and stuff are just like they're currently breaking, like it's brand new. And again, all these other things, again, because we have the years of we're actually able to study long-term users and all of that stuff and find out why it's not working, right? And it's like, yeah, if we finally know what we didn't know, we can demand,
Mhm.
other companies to step up. And that's the beauty of the free market, right? We can invest in the companies that do it. And then the companies that want our money be like, well, you need to do this so that I know I'm actually getting what you're telling me I'm getting, and it's like, people only have so much time to research. And anytime we buy a product, there has to be a level of trust, right? At some point. And when you feel like, oh, I'm investing in the best product on the market, and then to realize, wait a second, they bought off the results so that it says this, but it's not actually like, I don't actually even know what I'm getting. Like, that's just beyond frustrating. And so I feel like that's maybe why when people have gone this route, they aren't getting the results that they expected and they're not getting the help that they need. And then to learn about the endocannabinoid system and the information's on the internet, you can find it. It's not hidden. You just need to know what to look for. Right. And so I love that we've kind of introduced the topic and people can now go further in research with that, look into your product and your testing. And I'm sure that you have all the labs and all the things that people can look at and start really educating themselves because we can only give you the information, but you have to be willing to go forward and dig yourself. Like, don't take anything at face value, but dig and research yourself. And if you have a company that you do love and you don't want to switch from, you should probably talk to them about it because you going to them is going to change the industry. And hopefully we can change it before the pharmaceutical industry. We can at least make it really expensive for them. That'd be really nice,
Yeah.
right? To like make it a really almost unprofitable pursuit would be the ideal so that we can keep a hold of nature and our health and stay empowered versus handing it over on a silver platter to an agency that really doesn't care about our health that much.
Yeah, this is amazing. I love your mission. It's like we are both on the same page.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
I love it.
I love it. This is amazing. Like, let's make it harder for them. Exactly. Let's make it harder
Yeah.
for them to, it's a massive killing. It's just, let's put it that way.
Yeah, and the only way to do that is to be educated and to come at them with facts. Really is what it is. And the more we're empowered, the less power they have, and we can only do that when we learn and research and get direction on what to look for. Because there's just so much information out there. And a lot of it's misinformation and completely wrong and fabricated and bought off. And, I think it's really frustrating to think like, oh, the industry is no better than big pharma. Like it's just a subsidiary.
It is the
Yeah.
same thing. No, it is 100% the same. It's not even better. It's absolutely 100% the same thing. It
Yeah. And
is.
I think that that's mind blowing and frustrating, you know, um, for people who hardcore believe in the power of, CBD and THC and all this stuff to realize like, wow, I've been bamboozled, like that's really, I think, going to be really frustrating. And people, we have to go through almost like a mourning process where we get really angry and we get really sad and we get kind of distraught and then it's like then we get fired up, right? I think that's like kind of the process that we all go through when we're kind of what we think of the world was is completely blown up and we're left kind of feeling in shambles. And I feel like this episode is going to do that for a lot of people and a lot of really sick people. So I'm glad that not only have we kind of it needed to be blown up, but we also have a solution and a direction to go to. So it's not completely hopeless, which I think is just really empowering and very nice of you to do for people is to come not say here's the problem, but I also like here's the solution. And this is my product, which I believe in wholeheartedly. But even if you don't want to or don't trust it, here's a lab that actually is accurate. There's the only one I found, and out of the thousands and thousands of dollars that I spent, this is the one that was like, I don't care how much you pay me, I'm going to give you the results the way that they're supposed to be. And I think that that those two directions alone and those two options are just so empowering. So thank you so much for that and for educating everybody on just what's going on. Like I said, we're pulling back the curtain and revealing the truth. And I think that that is just so powerful. And I would love to have you back on because I know that there's so much more information and so much more that you have to share. But I just thank you so much for your time and your mission and your product and the lobbying and the education that you're doing, not only to the consumers, but to the industry. And, the industry, it's falling on deaf ears because it doesn't impact them, but now it's going to start impacting them. And so hopefully we just kind of see this snowball effect of quality increasing and people really getting what they think that they're getting so that they can get better instead of worse.
Amazing. Thank you so much for allowing me to share the message. And hopefully this podcast episode will empower people of knowledge and they can stand for themselves, because that's what it takes, for one life at a time, one heart at a time. Just stand up and say, no, I know better. I know what to look for. I can stand. The change is not going to happen because they have to bring a change for us. The change will happen only if we're going to stand strong and we're going to demand the change.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you again.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you found this episode helpful, would you do me a favor and help others find it by leaving a review, sharing a screenshot on social media, or sharing the link with a friend? By you sharing what you've learned, others are able to find this podcast and join our community. Be sure to check out my website, www.roadtolivingwhole.com, for over 160 delicious recipes, a variety of meal plans, and a blog packed full of even more healthy living tips. If you'd like to learn more about how to work with me as your coach, you can schedule a free consult through www.roadtolivingwhole.com/health-coaching/. Until next time, friend. Bye.